Okay, so we're sitting here with my father, whose name is, what's your name?
J. Robert Kern.
And where were you born?
I was born in Good Samaritan Hospital in Lebanon, Pennsylvania on April 16, 1943.
And do you have any siblings?
Do I have any siblings? That means a brother or sister, right?
Most likely, yes.
Okay, so I have an older brother named Kenneth Lee Kern, and he was born, I think, in 1940 in September 8th or 12th or something like that, at the same hospital in Lebanon, Pennsylvania, Good Samaritan Hospital. And I have a younger sister who was born in the same hospital. Her name is Melody Rose Kern. She was born, I think, in 1946 in September the 12th. And those are my siblings.
And we're recording this on November 29th, 2025, so that makes you 82 years old,
Yes.
as best we can all remember.
And we're recording in my home in Surfside Beach, South Carolina.
And let's take you back to Lebanon County. That's where you were born and where your siblings were both born.
Yes.
And so you have parents, I assume?
I have parents, yes. And they're both dead.
They're both dead?
Yeah. And dad died in well, he was born on in 1921, I think in July. And he died in 2010, I think.
Yep.
And he was about 89 years old, I guess. He spent about the last month in a nursing home, Chambersburg, Pennsylvania. Mom's name is Ruby Fern Allison. Then she married dad and took his name. She was born in 1920. And she died, I think, maybe 4 or 5 years after dad died. And I think she was 93 when she died. So
That'd be, 2013.
2013.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
Okay.
And did you say your dad's name? I can't remember if you had said his name.
I said his name was,
Okay.
maybe I didn't say his name. It was, and it still is. It's Robert Luther Kern. And I did say mom's name, I think.
You did. Did they have any nicknames that you know of?
Not that I'm aware of. Some of dad's co-workers, I think, over the years just called him Bob.
Bob?
Which is kind of a
typical name for Robert.
Typical name for Robert.
They used to call him Smiley, didn't they? Because he smiled a lot.
Yeah. he didn't smile a lot. He was kind of quiet.
So, yeah.
And in his later years, well, as an adult, he did a lot of work in the quarry work around machinery, and didn't wear ear protection and stuff, and so he was hard of hearing. So he spoke very loud. So he think people could hear him. And I'm not sure he ever had hearing aids. Mom, in her later years, had hearing aids, but not. I don't recall.
I don't remember
that dad.
No.
Yeah.
So let's go back to when you were born. So you mentioned your parents, and they had They both had parents. So tell me about the families of your grandparents and their siblings,
Okay.
and your parents' siblings.
My dad's name, which would be my grandfather on the Kern side, was Martin Luther Kern. He died when he was in his 70s, as I recall, and he was married to uh, Catherine. I don't recall her middle name, but her maiden name was Groy, Groy, and she added Kern to it, and they had 4 boys. Dad was the oldest boy, and then he had a brother named Jim who went in the army. He was a veteran when he was a young man right out of high school.
So he'd have been in World War II.
He was in World War II.
Where he was stationed?
He was stationed in Germany, and I think he was a driver for maybe General Patton.
Oh, wow.
And then when he got out of the service, he came back to Bunker Hill, Pennsylvania, there in Lebanon County, and got married to a lady named Claire. Can't think of her maiden name at this point. And Jim was his name was James G. I don't know what G stood for, James G. Kern. And he was a township supervisor, Swatara Township supervisor there in Lebanon County. And he was self-employed, and he had uh, trucks and trailers and machinery to do asphalt driveways, and had a well driller drilled deep wells, and had some school buses, and then the next brother was Ralph, and he lived close by also, and he worked for a construction company and hauled coal and grain and gravel and that kind of stuff. And then Henry was the youngest boy. He never graduated high school. He got burned at a fire, got his legs burned badly. But as an adult, he worked um, in business of recapping tires just a few miles from home in Jonestown, Pennsylvania. And then
was he burned when he was in high school or something?
No, he was younger. He was a young person, probably in elementary school, and then he worked at that tire recap store plant for several years, and then he went to work for his brother Jim. Ran the equipment for the township. Like I said, Jim was a supervisor, so he ran the mower in the summertime to cut the county, I mean the Swatara Township roads, or then they also paved some of the roads that were originally just gravel. They put down uh, limestone, and then put down tar, and then put down, they called chips, much smaller stones over top of that, and rolled it. And then in the wintertime, there was a lot of snow there, so they had a road grader that they plowed snow with, and then a smaller tractor, and they also had a V plow that they put on the front of the road grader to plow country the country roads. Um, and then they had a
younger sister too.
Yeah,
they had a younger sister.
They had a younger sister, and basically she was, I think they referred to her as an oops baby, where she had older brothers that would have been old enough difference in age, I think, to be her parent. Her name's Ethel. Can't remember her middle name, I mean. And she, her mother died when she was only like 12 years old. I think my grandma was 55 or 56 years old when she passed away.
You know what she died of?
She had pneumonia, and she was very overweight, didn't take care of herself, probably didn't eat correctly or get exercise, that kind of stuff. And actually, Jim, Dad's brother, died of a heart attack at age 55. And both Grandpa Kern, Martin, and Grandma Kern, Catherine, and Jim, and so that'd be my uncle, and Ralph, my uncle, and Henry, my uncle, all buried at the local church there where all the Kern family, except Mom and Dad, but all the other Kern family went to this little church there called Bunker Hill Evangelical Congregational Church. Still in existence today, and some
Bunker Hill, Pennsylvania.
Yeah, Bunker Hill, Lebanon County, Pennsylvania. Yes, and
Ethel is younger than you.
Ethel is several years younger than me. She's, I'm guessing, 75 or 76, something like that. She's married and now is retired and lives in Fredericksburg, Pennsylvania, just a mile or so where we all went to high school. And she married a guy named Carl Piper, and his family. He was born on a farm and worked all his young years on the farm in Fredericksburg, Pennsylvania. And he went in the Army right out of high school. And after that, then he worked in the car business for many, many years as a parts manager in a parts store. And then for a few years, probably when he was in his 40s, he and at least one of his brothers bought a Chevrolet car dealership from a family who had birthed that business and ran it, and the folks had died, and their kids didn't want to run the business, and so they sold it. Carl and his brother Ken, I think, bought the business and had that for a few years, and ended up selling that. And they then Carl got a job in Erie, Pennsylvania, and they moved the family to out of the area where they'd been all their lives, and moved to Erie, Pennsylvania, and he became a parts manager of a large Ford Lincoln dealership. And so they ended up moving there, and initially rented a house, and I helped them unload their truck when they moved there. I drove up from Maryland and helped them unload, and had some cousins who also helped. And Carl worked there for many years, and Ethel worked in a credit union. I forget what the name of it was, but she worked there for many years. And they, after Carl retired, maybe when he was in his late 60s, they moved back to Pennsylvania near where his farm was.
Let's see if we can take you back to you're still on your dad's side here with your dad's parents. Do you know if did they all grow up in that same area in Pennsylvania?
Yes, they did.
Grandparents?
Yes, they did. My grandma Groy, who was Catherine Groy before she was married to Martin Luther, she had a brother named Henry, and they lived in the area. And Henry lived at home with his mom. I do not remember his dad at all, so he probably was dead maybe even before I was born. And Henry worked for. He was also in the army, and he worked for a local fuel oil company that delivered heating fuel oil to their home in the area. And he didn't get married until he was probably in his 60s, so he never had any children. And his mother's name was, as I remember, Agnes Groy, Groy.
And so,
But they lived in the area. And then my dad's dad, named Martin Luther, he had a one brother named Henry, and he lived in Annville, Pennsylvania, and he was married to Mary Jane. They had one daughter named Mary Jane also. And
I think I remember her, Mary Jane.
what's that?
I think I remember her.
She used to come to our Christmas
She
party.
was part of the extended family that would come.
Yes.
Okay.
And she was married, and then was divorced. Her husband's name was, and she went to Lebanon Valley College, which is right there in Annville, and that's where she met her husband. His name was James Charles Smith, and he was from the Philadelphia area, and he ended up becoming a vice president, I think, of the sewer and water company in the area where they lived. And we'd gone to visit them several times when we were young kids. And they had, the first time I'd ever became aware of it, they had a Volkswagen Bug.
One of those foreign cars. That
One
was
of those
pretty
foreign
exceptional.
cars. Yeah, I think that was maybe 1949 or 1950, 51, something like that, when they started selling them in the United States. And actually, Mary Jane and J.C., they called him J.C. Smith, had one boy named J.C., and everybody called him Johnny. And actually, he ended up buying his grandparents' house in Annville, Pennsylvania. That was in Lebanon County also.
And so how would that house been related, those people that own the house related to you? I got lost.
Well, Johnny, who lives there now, he would be uh, a cousin. So he was my cousin's son.
Okay.
So he'd probably be my second cousin.
And do you know how back on your dad's side of the family, how long they've been in Pennsylvania?
Uh, I think for sure in the 1800s. I can do a little bit of research on that and find out.
Do you know where your family came from? Because you're not Native Americans, are you?
No, I think we have a German background, I think.
Okay. And then let's hit your mother's side. So tell me about your mom's side of the family. Who are those folks?
Okay, they were from Pennsylvania also, but I think
I don't think we heard their names yet.
we heard we don't heard their names yet. Well, mom's parents were named. Her mom was named Sarah Wander Allison. So she married Herman Dittmer Allison. And Herman Dittmer Allison, he had a little farm and just a few animals. And but he worked in Lebanon, where I think he worked for the Bethlehem Steel Company. But he also had this little farm, and I think part of their background was in Bedford, Pennsylvania. I think that was northwest, a couple hours from where they ended up settling. And Herman, when I knew him, he was always just an old man sitting in a rocking chair. But he would, he had, at that time had one cow. And I think her name was Dolly. And they didn't have much fence around their place. And he would, every few hours, he'd get out of his rocking chair and get his cane and go out and, well, he'd go by the barn and get a sledgehammer and he'd go out walking around until he found where Molly was. And, or Dolly, I think it was Molly or Dolly, and moved the iron peg that he had hammered in the ground, but had maybe about a 20-foot chain on it. And so Dolly could walk around, eating some grass and stuff. And he had a water bucket there for Dolly. And they had a few chickens, and I think they had some hogs at one time. And we used to have a lot of fun going up in the barn in the hay mound, jumping around. Because at that time, my mom's brother named Forrest lived there, right aside of Sadie and Hermit. And so I have some cousins that are, close to my age. One of them was same year as me in high school, and then he had a brother named Linford. He was 2 years older than me, and he had, I think they had 3 younger sisters.
Let's talk about your mother's mother. I don't think you mentioned that yet. Then we'll go into your mom's siblings.
Okay,
There's Wonder.
my grandma on mom's side was can't think of her first name, but her name was Wonder. I don't ever remember meeting her husband, but she lived in that little town called Ono, and she died, I think, when she was 93.
Dang. Oh wait, are you talking about the person I just read the book about?
Yeah,
Her name was Miriam.
Miriam.
Yeah.
Her name was Miriam Wonder.
And they did there's a little booklet that was written about her.
Yeah, yeah. And I don't.
That's your grandmother.
That's
That's
my great grandmother.
Great grandmother, I'm sorry, yeah.
Yeah. And she lived there in a little town. As I said, I don't remember her husband at all. And she wanted to fly in an airplane. So I think some of the kids and grandkids arranged to have her take a flight in like a 2 or 4 passenger airplane when she was 90.
Wow.
Yeah, and that was a great big deal. And I think it probably got a little story in the Lebanon Daily News, you know.
And do you know how far back that side of the family goes into, were they there in Pennsylvania for a long time as well, or?
Yes, they've
Where they
been a
came
long
from?
time. The Wonder family lived in the Bedford, Pennsylvania area, I think, and they had a what do you call it? Maybe a truck farm where they grew vegetables and sold them at market, and I think worked also in the timber business. Had maybe a sawmill,
yeah.
and I think some people in that family, Miriam's husband, I think, was in the Civil War.
Miriam's dad
Oh, Miriam's dad.
was in the Civil War, and her brother Jeff.
Oh, and her brother Jeff was in the Civil War. That was like 1860 something. I don't remember that.
You don't remember the Civil War?
I don't remember the Civil War.
You got a bad memory.
So based on everything you've said, it sounds like going back to all your grandparents, all of their families, as best we can say, were in the state of Pennsylvania,
Yes,
or the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania,
yes,
back into the 1800s.
yeah. And they were all, doing history on them, they were all very religious people. You know, raised
My brother did, and I'm the one talking. I'm your son, Todd, and we've got some paperwork that my younger brother, who he says he's the favorite child, has, that we've got family that came to a guy named Thomas Kern, and we'll go into this later, but he arrived in the United States in about the year 1800.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
So one of your siblings did that, but we'll talk about that, at some other point. So we've gotten some history about the names of, we need to get the names of your mom's siblings. I don't think we did that.
Okay. Mom's older brother is named Forrest, and
I heard he was the one they named that movie after, Forrest Gump.
yeah, right. And he did a short stint in the movie. Anyway, Forrest.
In the Marines, you were saying?
No,
What were you saying?
well, Forrest was in the Forrest Gump movie.
Oh,
No, he wasn't. But Forrest had a wife. I can't remember her name, but she died. She died during childbirth of his second child, and he had his first wife. Well, I think her name was Mary, I think, and so he had a daughter named Carol and a son named Robert, and he was single for a number of years and actually lived with his parents, Sarah, Sadie, and Dittmer, right there in Ono, Pennsylvania. And he basically couldn't raise the children by himself. Tried to, but he just couldn't, I guess, work and do it. And so one of his cousins took in Bedford, Pennsylvania, took in Carol, the girl, and my grandma Allison took in the baby at the time named Robert, who they always, well, I remember him as Bob. And but then Forrest married a woman who had never been married named Mary, and she and Forrest had 5 children.
So when they got married, she was a virgin named Mary.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. And
they had five, you said 5 children?
5 children. Their oldest child was named Linford. 2 years later, Donald came along, and then a couple years later, Ruth came along, and then Frida and Melba, and they all live in the area, same area where they grew up. Went to the same high school as I did, and as a whole bunch of the Kerns from the Henry's kids and Jim's daughter, Ralph's kids, and Jim's daughter. So I forget where I was going.
Now, did we learn all your mom's siblings?
No, we didn't. I told you about Forrest and Mary and all their kids.
Yep.
And then Mom had a brother named Claire, and he lived in the area. And he, interestingly, Forrest and Claire went to, as I remember, they went to Lebanon Valley College in Annville, Pennsylvania. That's in Lebanon County. And they were both school teachers for a little bit. And then they both ended up working for Bethlehem Steel Corporation. And Claire worked there for many, many years and actually retired from there. And Claire married a girl named Alma, and they had 4 children. They have a daughter named Marjorie, and they had a son named Claire Jr., but everybody called him Jack. And he just died, I think, within the last year. And my oldest son, Todd, and I went up to Pennsylvania, to Ono, Pennsylvania, for his funeral. He was 93. And then they had Claire and Alma had a sister named, another daughter named Rita.
Rita?
Yeah. And then another daughter named Cheryl. And Cheryl they were all my cousins, and Cheryl was several years behind me at school, maybe 5 years. And she's passed away when she was in her 50s of cancer. And then
I do want to hear about some of your cousins because you got a bunch of them.
Yeah, I've got a bunch of cousins.
Yeah. Let's go back to your mom's siblings.
Okay. And then after Claire was a Beulah, and she she got married to a person named Russell Bush, and he worked at the Bethlehem Steel Company. And then he felt called to ministry, and he became a Nazarene pastor. And he spent a number of years pastoring in Indiana and in Wyoming. And then they had my mother was the fourth child of
Of the five,
of the five,
from same mother.
same mother.
Yes. Child number 7 in, of her dad's.
Well, let's see.
He had 2.
No.
No, there were 7 altogether, right?
No, that was Forrest had
Oh, he had
7.
Okay, I'm sorry.
But Mom had 2 older brothers and an older sister, and she was the fourth child of Sadie and Herman.
That's right.
Okay. And so, did we talk about?
And is she the youngest?
Mom was the youngest, yeah.
Okay. And your dad is the oldest.
Yes,
Okay.
of the siblings. Yes.
And it sounded like most of your uncles had worked in blue collar, a lot of blue collar workers.
Yes.
You had some couple that were teachers.
Yes.
And went to college, but most folks just stayed in the area and
right
and did work in the local county, or
right.
That was pretty typical.
Except that Mom's oldest brother Forrest, whose first wife had died, and then he married Mary, but his first wife was also named Mary, and he was a college graduate, and he worked at the Bethlehem Steel Company. After he was a teacher, he worked in Bethlehem Steel, not in the blue collar part, but in the administrative office, and wore a suit to work. And then he became an ordained Nazarene pastor and was my pastor when I was a little kid. Oh no, Church of the Nazarene. And then he moved from there to Cowtown, New Jersey, very rural area, a small town. And the church there couldn't pay him enough. It wasn't large enough to pay his salary and support a family of 5. So he taught school there as well. And after about 5 years or so, he just wore out. And I think they decided he had like a mental breakdown, and he couldn't work, and then moved a family back home, and they built this small house right next to where Sadie and Herman Allison lived, so his mom and dad, and so they built a small house for him there, and he finally got Social Security disability, but he never was able to work after that. And all I remember about him, he sat in a chair a lot, and he could play all kinds of musical instruments, and taught my mother how to play the accordion and the trumpet and the guitar and the piano. Most of the people in that housing group were musicians, yeah.
So we didn't talk yet, and you have 2 siblings, and we'll go into this on the future time we get together and talk. But so you had an older brother named Ken,
right,
and a younger sister named Melody.
That's correct.
And so let's finish up by maybe you can tell us, one story about when you were younger as a child, maybe a funny story or a memorable story about growing up in your household.
Well, as I said, my dad didn't talk much, but we lived in a house near where several uncles lived on the Kern side, and my dad wanted to paint the staircase in our house. We lived like in a Cape Cod kind of house, and you open the front door, and the living room was all the way across from side to side of the house. And when you go in the door to the right corner, there was 2 steps to a landing right against the wall, and then a staircase that went up to the second floor. And the ceiling was way high up there. And so my dad wanted to paint it. And back in those days, you didn't have the ladder like they have now, like the little giant. You could adjust the A-frame so one side be longer. So he had an old wooden ladder, like a 6-foot ladder, and he worked in a quarry, and they had a lot of dynamite boxes that were made out of wood.
Yep.
They were square, like a cube, and had dovetail siding, so they were very sturdy. So he figured out that if he put one of those boxes under the leg that was going down the stairs, that he could climb up and paint with a paintbrush, because back in those days you didn't have paint sticks and rollers like you got now.
With a brush.
Everything was with a brush, and it was oil paint. So those boxes wouldn't stay there; they had to be held, or the ladder would kick them out, because the boxes were bigger than the stair tread. So my brother would hold one box, and I'd hold the other box. And so Dad was up there painting, and we were holding, and I'm guessing I was maybe 6 or 7, and Ken was probably 3 years old, so he might have been 9 or 10. Mom and Melody weren't at the house that I remember. And so Ken said, "I'm thirsty. I need to go get a drink." So he's going to go to the kitchen and get some water out of the spigot. And he did that. And it seemed like he was gone a long time. And I was holding both boxes. And I said, "Well, I'm thirsty too." So
Dad's on the ladder this whole time?
Dad's on the ladder painting. He probably didn't realize Ken was gone. And then next thing he knew, that I wasn't there, because the ladder, when I walked away, the boxes kicked out, and the ladder went down, and the paint can went flying, and the ladder came down at the bottom of the steps, and Dad did too. And paint splashed all over the steps, all over him, all over the place. He was mad. Oh my goodness. We got lashed with a belt, a good lashing with the belt.
Did you deserve it?
Well, Ken did, because he was a leader, And we both deserved that. We got it, and it was can you imagine cleaning that up? Oil-based paint. Oh my goodness. But he got over it sometime.
Probably took a while. It probably wasn't a subject he wanted to talk about.
That's correct. That's correct. But yeah, that's something I'll never forget.
I said that was about 75 years ago, and
yeah,
still remember that today. Is your bum still hurt a little bit?
No, I grew over that. Yeah.
We've been talking about 3/4 of an hour, so we'll stop here.
Wow.
And we'll pick it up because you lived 82 years, so it's a long time. So
yeah,
we'll pick up and get some more stories on the next time.
Thank you very much, Mr. Kern.